Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my dad.
What's up? How y'all doing? I said y'all, that's what people say in the South, even though I'm not from the South, but I've been in Atlanta for 30 years. So, do you guys feel like you're in my studio here? I love Stockholm. It's my second time here. I was here two years ago? 2 years ago in the summer, and I brought my whole family with me, and it's beautiful weather. It's probably, this is the real one. And it was, my kids loved it, really loved it. And I probably would have brought them if they weren't in school. So my kids, my son Dylan is 18 now. Those of you that saw him on the early videos, even before my channel, he was 8 years old back then. My middle daughter Lennon is 16, and my youngest daughter Layla is 12. I talk about Layla in a lot of my videos because I drive her to school every day, and invariably I get some idea for a video, usually by playing music for her or something. Like my latest video I put out on the band Sleep Token, I was playing her. I turn on the song, I don't tell her, I just see what her reaction is, and I put on Sleep Token, and she's like, is this AI? And I said, no, it's a band. She's listening to it, she's like, what's the style of this music? It's like, I don't know, it's a bunch of different styles. And then the sax comes on at the end, if you know the song, she's like, is this jazz now? And I was like, yeah, it's kind of strange, right? It's cool though. This is the house that I grew up in upstate New York. When I used to tell people, when I first moved to Atlanta, that I was from New York, they think that I'm from New York City. And it confused me at first, but this is the small suburb of Rochester. It's called Fairport, New York, and has a canal that goes through it. And the Erie Canal is, I think it's the second longest canal in the world. It was built, it's from the Hudson River down New York City, goes all the way up to Albany, all the way across, and it connects to Lake Erie. So it connects the Great Lakes to the ocean. And it's 535 miles long. I looked it up today, actually. So from my house, when I tell people that I'm from New York, they think you're from New York City. I'm like, no, I'm actually, 5 hours and 34 minutes and a $55 toll from New York City. Matter of fact, some of my siblings have never been to New York City. As you can see, it's closer to Toronto than it is to New York. It's actually 32 miles across Lake Ontario. If you were to fly over to Toronto, it's very fast. But just to give you an idea about that. Okay, so knowledge has value. I had some bad haircuts. 1973. It's pretty bad. My dad, on the weekends, we had 7 kids in my family, and my mom started working when I was in kindergarten, so in 1967, when I was 5. She got a job working at a can factory 1 block from our house called the American Can Company. They made 1 million cans a day. Coke, Pepsi, Budweiser beer, all different kinds of cans, but 1 million cans a day. It was 24/7, and this thing was it was like a 3/4 of a mile long, this factory. You could hear it going all day and night. So I'd walk down to the end of the street and then walk my mom to work, and some nights I would go bring her lunch. She worked the late shift. She worked mid shift, it'd be like 4:30 in the afternoon until 12:30 at night. Then she'd come home and eat dinner, and then she'd get up in the morning and make us breakfast. Now, my house that I lived in we had 9 people with 1 bathroom and 3 bedrooms. So you can imagine what it was like when everybody was getting ready to go to school in the morning. It was, could be tricky. When I was 4 years old, my Aunt Marion gave me this encyclopedia of the presidents of the United States. At the time, it only went to Lyndon Johnson. And so I started reading these things, and I loved history. And I was looking through them, and then I memorized all the presidents up till then, and I used to recite it for people. And so I'm 4 years old. It'd be like George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, and just go through all of them all the way until Lyndon Johnson. And people would pay me to do it, like a quarter or a nickel. And that's when I realized that knowledge has value. Now, I was a terrible student. I'm talking the worst. As a matter of fact, I just went back to my high school and I got an award for the Fairport High School Wall of Fame. And I didn't tell the kid that interviewed me to introduce me that I was graduated with a D average. D is bad, F is failing, D is one above failing. But my parents really, they never asked about grades. And they let me do whatever I wanted, which is really unusual. Well, unless, I'll tell you about this in a second here. So, when I was 8 years old, this is me with a weird hairdryer with a brush in it. When I was 8 years old, I took this thing called the seashore test. It was developed by a guy named Carl, I can't pronounce his last name, but in Swedish, it's seashore. I looked it up today. Was this Swedish guy that came to the United States, went to Yale University, and he came up with this musical aptitude test that the people in our little town used to determine who was going to learn to study instruments. And this musical aptitude test had 5 different parts. It was on about 6 LPs, and it was probably about a 45-minute test, and they would test your pitch discrimination, but it wasn't like, is this pitch higher or lower, and it's a half step between them. They'd play a synthesizer, and they would go 5 cents sharp, 3 cents flat. So you had to have really good pitch discrimination to pass this thing. It had rhythm, it had things where it would play a 3-note sequence, a 4-note sequence, and then play one right after it, and say, are the second notes the same or different? So the people that scored the highest on this would get to play an instrument. And you'd start in the orchestra, the string players would start in 4th grade, and the next group of people would start in wind ensemble or playing wind instruments the next year in 5th grade. So in 4th grade, I was, 9 years old, 10 years old, and I started playing the cello. Now, I played the cello and then the bass starting in 6th grade, end of 6th grade. I started playing the bass, upright bass, classical, and I played an orchestra all the way through high school and then all the way through college. That was my major. I was a classical bass major. And I loved music, but I wasn't obsessed with it. That didn't come till a little bit later. So, when I was in 5th grade, that's my dad there. I wasn't in 5th grade there. You can tell that, right? That was from 1996. My dad was born in 1919. He looks like a kind of an intense guy, right? Doesn't he? I mean, you look at that, it's like, My dad, Mike, his name was. So, my dad, first day of summer of 5th grade, so I'm 10 years old. He's like, hey, Rick, go put your golf clubs in my truck. Now, my dad worked for the railroad. He worked for the railroad for 42 years. His dad worked for the railroad, his dad, Luigi. That was what you did when you came to this country in the early 1900s. My grandfather, my dad's dad, Grandpa Beato, who I never met, he died in 1955, but he was born in 1891. All my grandparents were born in the 1800s. So, my dad's like, put your golf clubs in the truck. Okay, why? Never mind why. Okay, it's like, put my golf clubs in the truck. So next morning, he wakes me up at 6 in the morning. He's like, all right, come on, let's go. Where are we going? Never mind where are we going. So I get in his truck, and he puts on the jazz station, the AM station. We start driving 40 minutes in the truck. And he says, we stop at this little convenience store. He gets me a couple donuts and some milk. And then we pull up to this place where he worked. And it was this railroad yard with about 6 sets of tracks that came in, all these trains. And there's this little hut there. Now, I'd never seen, no one had ever seen where my dad worked. So there's this little hut. And we go inside, and it's got a desk. And it has a little bathroom in it, but that's it. It's just a little one-room, kind of a shack, if you will. So my dad gets on the phone. As soon as he gets in, he's like, all right, Rick, sit over there. I kind of sit down. I'm eating my donuts. And then my dad gets on the phone. He starts yelling at people immediately. And I'm laughing. I'm like, God, my dad yells at everybody. This is great. So after about 30 minutes, he's like, all right, come on, let's go. So I didn't ask, where are we going? So we drive about a mile to this golf course. And he's like, all right, put your clubs down here. And we go into the clubhouse. And he introduced me to the pro. He said, this is my son, Rick. He's going to be playing golf here every day this summer. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to be doing. So he buys me some golf balls, some tees and stuff. And then he brings me out and he introduced me to the guy that runs the restaurant. He's like, this is my son, Rick. He's going to be eating lunch here every day. My dad gives me $5 for lunch. And then he goes and introduces me to the starter at the first hole. He's like, this is my son, Rick. He's going to be playing 2 rounds of golf a day. And when he comes here, or he says to me, if there's a twosome or threesome, you say, can I play along? Okay? I'm like, yeah. After you play the first round, you go into the restaurant, you eat lunch, and then go back out and do it again. Now, none of my siblings had to do this. None of the 6 siblings. And we always wondered, like, why did Dad have me do this, right? Not like he thought I was going to be a good golfer or anything, but I think he did it because I drove my mom nuts because I talked all the time. And this was his way of getting me out of the house and maybe becoming a good golfer, which I never did. But so I would do this every day. I'd go out, I'd play with people. As a 10-year-old. So I played with the old people that I played with that were in their 70s were all born in the 1800s. There were people that fought in World War II, that fought in the Korean War, that fought in the Vietnam War. There were people who'd be swearing, telling stories, smoking, everything, drinking out in the course. And I thought about it. It's like, that's where I learned to talk to people. It was really, looking back on it, incredibly instructive for a 10-year-old. Something that really would not happen, not in the United States. I don't know if it would happen here in Sweden. If you let a 10-year-old go out and play golf with people, maybe you would. But I look at my 12-year-old Layla and I think about, would I let her do? No. Like to be good at things. So I was good in other sports. I played basketball, although I'm not that tall, but I could jump really well. And this is me in high school. I actually have videos from the 70s that I took. That's me doing a long jump. I jumped about 23 feet when I was in high school, which was really good. And had I thought about it, I could have gone to college for track. But instead, I broke my ankle in 8th grade in the summertime. Those of you that watch my channel have heard this story. I broke my ankle for beginning of the summer. So I'm there sitting on the couch, and we had this $1 guitar that my brother Mike had gotten sitting in the corner, and a Mel Bay chord book. So I'm like, okay, get this guitar, and I'm just sitting there. I can't do anything. I got this cast on the whole summer. The guy's like, oh, it's going to be on for at least 3 months. So I'm sitting there and I play. I learn the first chord. It's like A minor. I was like, that sounds like Angie. Then I start learning chords, E minor, G, C, all the open chords and everything. And every time I play a chord, I'm like, I recognize that. That's from this song. Oh, that's from this song. And I was like, wow, this is really easy to do because I already played the cello and the bass. So I had chops. I could play things. I could read music even though we didn't read in treble clef, I could read in bass clef. And I understood the principles of reading music. So by the end of the summer, I could play a ton of songs. I probably learned 100 songs over the summer. And I realized I could figure out things by ear. So when I went back to school, my friends were like, what'd you do? I went back to school actually with my cast on crutches. And I told some of my buddies, like, yeah, I learned guitar this summer. We didn't have phones or anything, so you actually did things. And I really got obsessed with music because of that. As a matter of fact, I got more into playing the bass because I was interested in the guitar, and so it really made me focus on music. So, I told you that I was a terrible student in high school. So when you get to your senior year, my son is a senior right now, he's going through this thing, except he has good grades. So my grades were so bad, you go to your guidance counselor, and he says, this guy's name was Mr. Kroll. Mr. Kroll says, well, your grades are so bad and your SAT scores, these are these tests that you take, are so bad that you'll never be able to get into college, so you should think about a trade, going to trade school. I was like, okay. So all my friends are applying to colleges but me. I'm not doing anything. I'm playing in a band, working a job, and I was like, okay. So in January, now we graduated, this is January of 1980, end of my senior year, I heard some people talking about auditioning for music school, and I was like, well, why can't I do that? I didn't tell my guidance counselor, I just looked at the audition requirements, and I auditioned at 2 schools, Fredonia State University and Ithaca College. They're not that far from Rochester, they're both within about 2.5 hours. So I auditioned at both places, I looked at the audition requirements, I auditioned at both places, and 2 weeks later, on the same day, I get rejection notices from both. Now, the reason I got the rejection notices is because I was supposed to play 3 classical guitar pieces from different style periods. That would be like Renaissance Baroque Classical, or Baroque Classical Romantic, or Classical Romantic 20th Century. That would be 3 different style periods. And you had to play these things called the Segovia scales, which are 3-octave scales, particular fingerings though. And I had never heard of that. I'd heard of Andre Segovia. So I failed, so I didn't get accepted to either music school, but in the one, Fredonia State, the track coach had a thing. You didn't get into the music program, but if you come here, we'll give you a scholarship to run track. So even with my bad grades, I got there and I became a history major for 1 semester. And my first American history teacher that I had, his name was Dr. Chazanoff. First day of school. Now, I'm used to being a bad student, but he hands out this blue book. He says, I want you to write down every American president you can from memory. And I was like, yeah! So I write them all down. They went to Jimmy Carter at the time there, right, 1980. And so the next class, she's like, Mr. Beato, can you tell me how you know all the presidents in order? And I was like, I learned them when I was 4. So I had gone to the classical guitar teacher there at Fredonia, and she's like, I don't have time to teach you. So because I told her I wanted to get into the music program. I don't have time to teach you. So there was a freshman guitar player there named Phil Sasso that was in my dorm. And he's like, I'll teach you the audition requirements. I'll teach you how to play the classical guitar pieces correctly. He showed me how to hold my hand. He showed me how to play the 3 pieces from different style periods. He taught me classical guitarist. Another kid that was 18 years old. So I re-auditioned 5 weeks later at Ithaca College, where I'd gotten rejected. And I go in, I play the things, and the teacher there, Steve Brown's like, you're in. He had forgotten that I auditioned 6 months before, and he didn't let me in, which was fine. So I go there the next semester, and the first day of school, I go into the bass teacher. I'm like, his name was Henry Newbert, and I said, Mr. Newbert, yeah, I played bass, first chair bass in the Fairport Orchestra. We had the best orchestra, pretty much, in the United States. It was definitely the best in New York State by far, because we had 11 full-time music faculty that all had master's degree or doctorates in music from the top music schools. Everyone had their own instrument that was provided by the school. Everyone had a private lesson once a week. Many of the kids took lessons outside of school, too. So, as soon as he heard that, he's like, you were first chair at Fairport High School? I said, yeah. He's like, well, you should forget about the guitar. Don't major in that. You should be a bass major. So I was like, oh, can I play an orchestra? He's like, yeah. I didn't want to play in the jazz band, because I was there for jazz guitar. Yeah, I don't want to play that. So I was a classical bass major for my undergrad. And I switched my major that day. And I think about that now, it's like nowadays you go and you call your parents, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. You just did stuff back then. You didn't tell your parents, like nobody, they wouldn't even know anyways. They didn't even know what my grades were. So that was something that I did on my own. And it really challenges your self-worth when you get rejected like that. It really tests you. And many of the things that I've done in my life, I have failed at, and it just makes me even more determined to succeed in them. So that's me getting my wall of fame at my high school with my bad grades. That's from a couple weeks ago. Thank you. My parents would never believe that. That's so funny. Okay, so when I was in grad school at New England Conservatory, so I auditioned for that. I got in as a jazz guitar major. New England Conservatory had one of the best jazz departments in the United States. It's in Boston. It's about a mile from Berklee College of Music. And my first day in Boston there, just before school started, I go in and I take the train into the train station right next to where Berklee is. You guys, any of you know where Berklee College of Music? You've heard of that, right? So I get out of the thing, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, and I see a whole bunch of people at this place, Cafe Bouquet. It's across the street from there. There's a Starbucks there now. I was like, what are these kids doing here? So I go over and I walk in, and I hear a jazz group playing, and I walk in, there's this kid playing sax. Amazing. Couldn't believe it. It's like, God, this kid's incredible. All these guys are incredible players. And these are Berklee students, and I'm getting kind of nervous here. All of a sudden, it goes over to this guy with this big afro. And he takes a piano solo, and it smoked. It's like nothing I ever heard. It freaked me out, honestly. So I went back and I told my roommate, who was an old buddy of mine who had moved to Boston, and I was like, I heard this keyboard player, the most insane thing I've ever heard. He's like, who was it? I said, I have no idea, but I'm going to go find him tomorrow. So I searched through all the Berklee practice rooms, hundreds and hundreds of them, and all of a sudden I hear that sound. I hear this guy playing, and I walk in, I look in the window, and I see the big afro, and there he was. I knock on the door, and this guy, and I was like, hey man, I saw you play yesterday. I said, what's your name? I said, my name's Rick. He's like, my name's Aydin. And I said, Aydin, where are you from? He said, I'm from Turkey. So, this is Aydin. This is a thing that I filmed in my apartment in 1987. Because after I went to New England for 2 years, I got a job teaching in the same office that I got rejected in 6 years before. I was a professor there. This is Aydin improvising. The greatest improviser I've ever heard to this day still. We're 2 weeks apart in age. So, Aydin's going to come back in a second here. I'm going to talk about him for a second. So, I teach for 5 years at Ithaca College, and during that time, I meet a guy that I start writing songs with, rock songs. Never really written any songs before. This guy teaches, a guy named Alan, teaches me how to write songs. So we write a bunch of songs. We were playing a gig at CBGB's in New York City, and this guy comes up, he's like, you guys have hit songs, I want to sign you to a publishing deal. And I was like, come on, that's not really true, is it? And he's like, yeah, my name's John Tita. I work for Polygram Publishing. So we go to our lawyer and hand him the card. He's like, yeah, John Tita. Yeah, he wants to sign you? Okay, great. So I signed this deal with Alan, and we get $85,000. About $75,000 went to our lawyer. That was the first lesson of the music business. I think Alan and I got $12,000 apiece, but that was plenty to tell the dean that I was going to take a leave of absence from teaching. So 1992, I was 32 years old. My parents were like, why are you quitting your college teaching job? You've been there 5 years, you're going to get tenure. I was like, because I don't want to do this anymore. I've taught enough. So go out and I try to make it, try to, start a band and everything, and then fail miserably. And I'm back 2 years later living at my parents' house in my old bedroom at 32. Okay? This is 1994. During that, when I got there, I was depressed for the first time in my life. So my brother Ray says, I can hire you to help set up our new computer system. And then I start working for about 6 weeks, and I save up a few $100s. And then I told my parents, okay, I'm going to go and find a new city to live in and move there and start a band. And they're like, what? Okay. So I get in my Honda Civic and I drive around, and I had lost all my gear. I sold it all, pawned it all. I had a Mexican Fender Strat and a PV Classic 50 amp in the back with a duffel bag with some clothes. And I start driving around the United States. I have a map. I go to Chicago first. I spend about 10 days there, and I'm just crashing with people I meet on the street. There were some art students that were at the Chicago Institute of Art, and I was like, I'm not feeling the vibe. So then I went from there, and I drive across to Denver, which is like a 12-hour drive. And I crashed with these two girls that I had met when I was traveling on tour with a band, and they let me stay in their living room. And there, I got a job. I started playing with a band called Sweetwater while I was playing bass, and I got a job at the University of Denver cafeteria where I was bussing tables. So I wore a polyester shirt and a hairnet, and I was bussing tables at a university after I'd been a college professor for 5 years. Because I had to, right? I had this dream of being in a rock band, being signed, being able to do my own music and touring, kind of like I'm doing right now. So I spent 3 months there, then I moved to New York City, that's me there, and I was a bartender on this boat called the Mariner 3. And it used to go around Manhattan every night, and these rich people would pay. And I'd never bartended, I didn't even know how to make drinks, but the captain told me, showed me how to do it. One time Jimmy Buffett, who was a famous songwriter, rented the boat. Some of you know Jimmy Buffett. He rented the boat, and he had Lauren Michaels from Saturday Night Live. They had the Saturday Night Live band on there, and Jan Werner from Rolling Stone was on the boat. And I'm making drinks for all these people. Looking like that. I did that, and then eventually I moved to Atlanta. I was actually on my way to Austin, Texas, and I stopped there to have lunch with my old college roommate, Doug, and he convinced me to stay. So I've been living in Atlanta since 1994. When I moved to Atlanta, my first job was working at Blockbuster Music, where once again I wore a polyester shirt and I opened CDs for people. Because you used to test them out back then. They only did this for like a year, so it was before streaming. People would test out records. You have to open it really carefully so you don't break the binding, and then you close them back up and sell them. So I worked at the listening lab. And I also worked in the classical record section, and Elton John would come in every Tuesday and buy about 100 records. And he'd come in the classical department, and I talked to him every week. He's a great guy. So eventually, that's me and my band Billionaire. We started in 1997. So I started teaching guitar lessons at a local music store when I moved there too, and it built up to about 50 students a week. I taught 12,000 lessons, private lessons, between 1994 and 1999. My band Billionaire got signed in 1998 to London Sire Records, which was part of Polygram. And we went in and we made a disastrous record with a producer that I won't name, famous producer. who drank all the time and stopped showing up at the studio. So the singer Mark and I would just be there with some assistant engineer, and we'd be recording stuff. It was all on tape. And then he'd come in and erase it that night. If he would come in, he'd come in and he'd listen to the stuff. Oh, it's bad, and he'd be drunk and he'd erase it. So after 4 months and $480,000 that we spent, the label came to the studio and he was drunk and they fired him. And then they hired this guy to mix the record. So the record ended up being finished in May of 1999. And I didn't have any money because we'd spent all of our money. The record was going to come out in August. So I asked my friend Reed, I was like, Reed, I got to go back and teach lessons. He's like, why don't you produce bands? I was like, you can't make any money producing bands. He's like, yeah, you can. So he's like, there's a band called Left Front Tire that sent me a demo. Tell them that you need to redo some of their songs. They have good songs and you're going to produce them. So I call up this band and the guy's like, what's a producer do? I was like, I don't know. Like, they produce. So I did this session in a friend's basement studio, and one of the songs that we did got on the American Pie 2 soundtrack, which sold 2 million copies. So literally the first thing that I do had a big hit song on it. And I start producing bands, and then our Billionaire record comes out. So this is the embarrassing thing. I've never told this story on my channel here. So they had this thing, SoundScan. You guys probably don't even remember any of this stuff, but it used to, you remember SoundScan? So SoundScan would come out every Tuesday, and you'd say, you'd know how many records you sold. So we had a single out of radio that was not doing great. So I call our manager. We were in Washington, D.C., Jake, did you get SoundScan? He's like, yeah. I said, how did we do? He goes, you did 38. I said, we sold 38,000? It's amazing. He goes, no, 38. And I said, like 3,800? He goes, no, 38, like 2 less than 40. And I said, we sold 38 records in the United States? He goes, well, technically the world. 38. So I had to go back and tell the guys, they're like, did you get SoundScan? I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna, you don't want to hear it. But the next week we sold 41. And then we were like, oh my God, we sold 41. Then I think we sold about 60 the third week. And then the fourth week, the label, my lawyer called me and said, did you see the news today? I said, no. He's like, Universal bought the label. There was it was the first, it was 1999. So Napster had just happened. And then the first big merger happened. He said that Universal bought your label. I said, what does that mean? He said, that means you guys are dropped as of today. So if you don't have any money, you need to go back home because there's no tour support. We didn't have any money. I went to go tell the guys and we drove back home, and that was the end of the band. So the disastrous year and the, 150 records that we sold? Maybe not even. But I kept producing. Probably about 2002, I worked with this band Shine On. They had a double platinum record. I did about half the record, and I wrote the songs. I wrote a few of the songs I did, maybe 3 or 4. And I started having some success as a producer. And that was really kind of my natural calling, was that. And that did well, even though the music industry was starting to decline. At first, when I started producing, you need to have a budget of $250,000 for a record. Then they started to go down, and eventually it was like, can you make the record for 35 grand? You have to mix it yourself, and you have to write all the songs with the band. And then, that was me as a music producer. Pretty scary looking, right? This is my studio right before this. So, December 15th, 2015. That was a day. The reason I'm here is really because of that day. It's kind of because of all these things. But this day started out like any other day. I went and took a picture of my camera roll. If you looked at my camera roll right now and went back to 2015, you'd see this. You see this thing circled here. Now, just before this, the minute 28 thing with my son Dylan, I was at my daughter Lennon's school for a music concert in the morning. I took pictures, took videos and everything. And I come back and I say, I was working with this guy Shane, this artist, country artist. And Dylan had come down to the studio. I said, hey Shane, check this out. And I start playing notes as fast as I can. Dylan's naming them. I play some chords. He's like, that's unbelievable. Can you make a video so I can show my wife Angie? I was like, yeah. So I had a school board meeting that night. So I go on, I'm getting ready to go to the meeting. I said, Dylan, come on downstairs for a minute. I don't want to. Come on, it take 1 minute. I don't want to. And I said, Nina, can you tell Dylan to come downstairs? She's like, why do you need? I was like, I want to just film Dylan. It'll literally take 1 minute. She's like, okay, Dylan, go downstairs. He had a bunch of candy in his mouth, as you'll notice. And
Hey, C sharp, B flat, C, B, A flat.
okay, good. 2 notes at once. Here we go.
C flat.
Great. How about this?
B flat, A.
Great. What about this?
E flat, A flat.
Great. What about this?
C, B flat.
And then how about this?
E flat.
What is it?
E flat.
Correct. Okay, I'm going to do some polychords for you. These are really going to be hard. You ready? What's this?
C augmented over D flat augmented.
Okay, sing a B flat. Very good. What's this chord?
A flat. Oh, A flat major over A major.
Great. Sing an F sharp. Excellent. What's this chord?
A minor over D flat major.
Great. What's this chord?
E 9 over F major.
Excellent. So, that video, little did we know that that minute 28 was going to change our lives. The thing about that, the things that Dylan's identifying, I realized that he had perfect pitch when he was 3 years old. Because the only music I played for him from the time my wife was 15 weeks pregnant was my friend Aiden's music, his improvisations. So that's all I played. And because I thought, I wonder if you played Aiden's music, if it would sound normal to a baby. Not only does it sound normal, it gave him insane perfect pitch. So I taught him music theory when he was about 4 years old, started teaching him. So the first chord he names is this. Now it sounds incredibly dissonant, but he says C augmented over D flat augmented. But if you listen to it from the bottom up, it's a polychord. It's a chord on top of another chord. Now the next chord is this. Now they sound almost the same, right? 2 notes change. Okay, so this is A flat major over A major. First chord, C augmented over D flat, A flat major over A major. They're both in inversion. Then the third chord I played was this. This is A minor over D flat major. Almost the exact same notes. And the last chord is E add 9 over F major. Now, the more that you knew about music, the more people thought, oh my God, how does this kid know this? So Shane knew when I was at the school board meeting that this was becoming a viral video immediately, and he kept calling me, and I'm turning it off. After the thing, he's like, this is a viral video. And I'm like, what do you mean a viral video? He said, it's got 5,000 views. I said, 5,000 views? Is that a viral video? That doesn't sound like many. He's like, how many followers do you have on Facebook? Because it was on Facebook. I said, like 30. He's like, it's a viral video. Wait till tomorrow, it'll have 1 million views. Well, by the next night, it had millions of views. It ended up getting it got released 3 different times, and it got about 80 million views, something like that. One of the posts had 250,000 comments. 150,000 shares. Those of you that are YouTubers know that that is so viral. And people sent me thousands and thousands and thousands of emails from music conservatories, from famous musicians, everything. And they wanted to know, can you teach this? Well, some people thought it was fake. So I made a series of videos. This one. Very good, Dylan. I want you to name and sing and write down this. Very good. Perfect. All right. This is going to be tricky. I want you to sing from the top down. That's correct. Write it down. He's singing. That's perfect. Right. So I want you to just name and sing. Okay, now why can Dylan do this? Well, this is Dylan at 5 months of age. So that's my friend Aiden, and like I said, I played Dylan all of these improvisations of Aiden's. That's Dylan now. That's me and Dylan at the Metallica concert. He's 18 now. And Dylan's like the coolest kid. He plays the guitar, he's left-handed. And, people are like, what's Dylan gonna do? Is he into music? He's like, yeah, he likes music and everything, but he likes working out, he likes doing, hanging out with his friends. He's like doing what 18-year-old kids do, right? And so he's embarking on this thing where he's applying for colleges for next year. Doesn't know what he wants to be. That's okay. Most of us don't. So, 6 months later, on June 8th, 2016, I made my first YouTube video. This was it. How to develop the world's greatest deer. As you can see, the video has a lot of views. This is 1.7 million views. So I started making all these really weird music theory videos. Improvisation, whiteboard videos, teaching people about music, but it was very sophisticated stuff. First month I got 4,000 subscribers. And one of my videos had a comment that was Dweezil Zappa. And I was like, it can't be Dweezil Zappa. So I click on it, and it went to Dweezil Zappa's YouTube. And then the next day he emailed me. He's like, I want to talk to you. Okay, here's my number. He calls me, we're talking, he's like, all the stuff that you're teaching is stuff that I wanted to learn. I could never find anywhere. It's funny because I interviewed Dweezil last year or so, and no, maybe 6 months ago, and we talked about this. And then the next day, Steve Vai reached out to me, and then people started reaching out to me all the time, other musicians, and I started getting more and more subscribers, and about a year later, I hit 100,000. And about a year and a half after that, so in the January of 2018, I started this series called What Makes This Song Great. Have any of you seen those? I started that, I had about 200,000 subscribers. I had done no videos on rock music or any popular music at all. But I made my living as a metal producer. And people are like, Rick, why do you have 100 watt amps and stacks behind you? It's like, because I only produce metal bands, which is funny because my background is in classical music and jazz, but I love metal. And when I started doing that series, my channel really blew up. And that's why I'm here tonight. So, I've made 2,000 videos in the past 9 years. I'm almost about 5.3 million subscribers. And I have been doing a lot of, I do a lot of opinion pieces, as you guys probably know that watch my channel. A lot of opinion pieces on everything from the Spotify top 10 to things about AI music and whatever the topics are. Sometimes they're copyright claims if somebody's like, oh, this song is a copy of this. I get a lot of stuff like that. And I'm just looking for things that are interesting to me, because that to me is what a video, if it's interesting to me, those are the videos I want to make. So I'm always looking for things like that. It's like, okay, what is cool? So I get up in the morning and I usually go sit out in my backyard. I drink coffee and I talk to my friends. A lot of times I talk to my younger brother, John, who's a great guitar player. I'm like, John, you hear anything interesting? Oh, you should make a video on this. Or some of my friends, or people email me ideas. And it's like the best thing in the world. It's the most fun thing. And I get to come to places like Stockholm to hang out with you guys. So I want to talk about something that is in the news and that I've talked about a lot on my channel, which is AI music. So I did a, hang on one second. So I did a video about 4 months ago or so. I've done a bunch of videos on AI. I did a video with a fake artist that I created on ChatGPT. It was after this thing, The Velvet Sundown, came out, and one of my friends, Nuno Betancourt, sent me this thing. He's like, have you heard of this band, The Velvet Sundown? I said, no. He said, they're an AI band. I think they are. And, but I don't know for sure. Can you tell? And I was like, yeah, I can tell. So I take my phone up to the kitchen, I set it on the counter, and I start playing one of the songs, and immediately Dylan and Layla are like, why are you playing AI? They literally could hear it. Anytime anything's AI, they can hear it. But I got asked to be on some TV shows and radio shows, and people wanted me to basically recreate this video. So one thing that I was on, I made this one song, and I followed the same prompts. So this platform I use is called Suno. There's two big platforms, Suno and Udio, but Suno is definitely the one that's moved the furthest ahead. And so I made this fake artist called Lyra Vega, and I wanted it to write a pop song that's like an EDM dance song. But the thing about Suno is that it's not good at creating lyrics. But I use this program called Claude, another AI program, to make the lyrics. And I'll play the song here, and I'm going to talk about it for a second.
Streets are breathing underwater blue. Every corner holds a trace of you. Footsteps echo where we used to run. Now I'm chasing shadows one by one. Glass reflections show your silhouette, but when I turn around, there's nothing left. City lights are flickering like memories, rising up from concrete. Can't you see? Every sound's a whisper of
took the prompt to create the picture of this fictional artist, Lyra Vega, took about 40 seconds to make, the ChatGPT. Then Claude, the lyrics were about 4 seconds. And I just did a basic prompt, and then I prompted what the song was going to be about, and I put it in Suno, and in a minute and a half, it created this song, the whole entire song, and a second song, both 4-minute long songs. And I have a version of it that's not available that you can print out the stems. These are the stems. So now I said to my daughter Layla, I was like, Layla, check this out. And we were listening to the car, and she's like, that's actually really good. I said, yeah, actually it is. It's kind of crazy. And she said, I can't even tell that it's AI from the vocal. Can you play me the vocal when we get home by itself? I said, sure. So I downloaded the stems, and then I soloed the vocal, and she listens to it.
Neon ghost tonight, fading in and out of sight, dancing through the purple haze, lost between the yesterdays. We're just neon ghosts tonight, burning bright and losing light. I can feel you everywhere, but you're not really there.
Now, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that that is actually incredibly impressive. It's funny because I played it for my assistant Ken, who's been working with me for 25 years. He engineered basically all the records he and I did that we did as a producer, and he comes in and records all the interviews that I do. Played for him and Tom and John that work in my studio, and his response was really interesting. He's like, wow, it makes me want to be a better musician. And I thought, that's why you're working here still 25 years later, right? And I was like, that is so the right attitude. Now, to get a vocal take like that that's perfect, that has breaths, that has nuance, I mean, it really does, and it's not real. And Layla said, she's like, it's too bad it's AI because it's really good. I want to enjoy it, but I can't because I know it's not real. There's no person behind it to enjoy, which I thought is really interesting. And if you go to the bridge section, I mean, it's very sophisticated. The arrangement is, it changes every single time. Just to do the sound design on this stuff,
glitching through my brain. You're a hologram, a dream. Nothing's ever what it seems. Breaking up like static waves. All these nights I couldn't save. Let me go, but your echo won't let go. We're just neon ghosts tonight, fading in and out of sight, dancing through the purple haze, lost between the yesterdays. We're just neon ghosts tonight.
so a lot of people are worried about AI taking over. It occurred to me at the time, I mean, these AI programs never have to rest. They can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year. But the first few things that I created with this, it created, were good until they weren't. And then it started creating a lot of the same kind of stuff. Bad. I mean, really not interesting at all. I probably created about 150 songs, experimenting on all genres. It's very good with this kind of stuff. It's actually pretty good with some kind of atmospheric indie music. It's good with metal, like kind of post, Bring Me the Horizon, kind of stuff like that. You can tell what it's been trained on. But it will continue to get better. But they've pretty much run out of material to train it on at this point. And the people that are going to use it have already been using it. All the top songwriters, they use this stuff. If you go to Nashville, everybody is using AI to write lyrics or help them with writing lyrics. They're using these programs to help them write songs. Now, they're replacing the parts, right? Just get a real singer to come in and sing them. It's used as an assist. And the thing that I hope with it, that I think is going to happen, is that people will write more interesting songs. Just as my assistant Ken's like, it makes me want to be a better musician. And to me, that's the right idea. More complex forms, more improvising, okay? People that can really play their instruments and play live, come out, talk to people, entertain an audience. This is a thing that it can't do. It also can only use this thing about, oh, it's going to create new things. It's like, it's not going to create new things. Basically going to regurgitate worse and worse versions of old things, because that's pretty much what it's doing now. Because a lot of people are using it. And it's fun if you want to make up songs about your boss that you don't like, or about your dog or something like that. You can play them for your friends. You can pay the $20 a month. That's cool. It's fun. A novelty. It's also good to, it can take you in directions with your songs that you might not think of. Now, one thing I would caution with people that are writers out there is like, I would probably not include any AI music, any tracks from here, because the record labels are very good at figuring out when things like that are used. And they already have programs that can tell when Suno or Udio is used. And what they'll end up doing is they will sue people that use this stuff if they discover any of the tracks in there. I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess that that's going to happen. And the labels want to make their own AI music with their own artists. That's happening. It's already happening. They're making the deals. They talked about it with Spotify, the three labels. You have, Warner, Sony, and good old UMG. So this is happening, but I would say to people that are songwriters out there, musicians, I would not worry about this. I would go and make the best music you can and think creatively, because that's one of the things this cannot do. And I think, my own opinion, that a lot of the AI stuff that's out there is way overblown. I use this stuff a lot to experiment with. I did this video about where I was asking this AI, the ChatGPT, using the vocal model. I asked it about, I just made this video. I was like, what is 52 factorial? It's a 68-digit number. Figure, okay, get math facts, you can look this up on the internet. It's not a calculator, but it can look it up. It's readily available. ChatGPT would not recite the number for me. It starts with 80 unvigintillion. And then I showed my son Dylan reciting the number because he wanted me to buy him something. I'm like, all right, Dylan, if you could name 52 factorial, which was in this Vsauce YouTube video we had watched. He's like, oh, just record it for me, I'll get it. And like 1 minute later, he's like, I got it. He comes in and he writes it down. He's like, no way. It's like, come on. So, it's good though. I would be lying if I didn't say that wasn't good. It wouldn't be true. You can hate it, not like it, but it's pretty amazing, right? And I wrote 2 songs. The other song wasn't half bad. So, anyways, I want to say that out here. I want to tell people, do not fear AI. I think it's just way overhyped. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. And with that, it's to my favorite part of the show where I'm going to take questions from you. Just raise your hand and speak loudly. Can you turn the lights up, please? There we go. Woo! Yes.
Welcome to Stockholm.
Thank you.
I think, like I heard that AI song, very impressive. And I also watch a lot of your Spotify top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as good as anything on the Spotify top 10.
Yes.
So how do the people who are making music in that bracket survive something that's equal to them that costs nothing?
Well, it doesn't cost nothing. It costs $20. I pay for it. Even though I know the guy that runs Suno, I still pay $20. He's asking, that's as good, he said that that's as good as anything on Spotify, top 10 when I do my countdowns. So how do you compete against that? Well, the thing is, as I said, there's only about 3 songs that I came up with that were actually that good. Everything else was really terrible. I mean, that was, I figure if I did it 150 different times, and I tried every prompt, I was trying to get something that was at least of that caliber in all different genres, and I came up with about 3 songs out of 150. That's not a very good average, I wouldn't say. So, the music just started to get more and more derivative. And if you use the Suno lyrics, terrible. I mean, really bad. You're better off if you actually just sing in. If you have a melody and a lyric and you sing into it, it will do a good demo. And that's really good for that. If you want a demo of a song, you have a melody and a chord progression, or just a melody with lyrics. It'll do a good demo for you. But that's about it. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
How would you use AI if you're a young musician to practice music?
How would you use AI to practice music? I'll give you an example. This is kind of would be interesting. If you were a good improviser and you were up here and you had people in the audience that could prompt a style of music, chord changes and stuff, and you're improvising on guitar and I'm just listening to it and I can improvise along with it live, that would be a great way to practice. You can create grooves to do. You can make your own play-along tracks like that. That, to me, is a really great way to use AI music, is to create play-alongs to practice working on your improvising. Yes?
What's the most important musical foundation to teach young musicians in different groups?
What's the most important musical foundation to teach people? I would say
in different groups, like from age 10, age 15, different age groups.
so he's asking about different age groups. I think that it really works for all different age groups, that there's ear training is probably the most important thing. And honestly, it's probably the least practiced with musicians. And I'll tell you why it's the least practiced, because there are so many YouTube tutorials on everything that people don't need to develop their ear. But really what you want to be able to develop your ear for is to improvise and to come up with, be able to hear a melody in your head and go to your instrument and play it. So I think that's the first thing to develop. And obviously you want to work on your rhythm, incredibly important. Play with drummers, play with other timekeepers, play with program beats, metronomes, things like that. But playing with other people and developing your time in an ensemble is incredibly important. That's probably the other thing that is the least worked on thing for musicians. Yes, back here.
Well, thank you for the ear work. I think I still have some brain in my ear. What did you focus? How did you focus on?
How did I prompt that song? I can't remember the exact prompt. I said, EDM music. I had the title and the lyrics. So I created the lyrics already, and I had the artist, a description of what the artist is. And I pretty much I said I want an EDM song, which implies pretty much that it's going to have side chaining in the keyboards, have a quarter note bass drum on the drop into the chorus, things like that. So it knows stylistically what to do with that when you describe that, and I just kind of let it do its thing. And I found that the programs are better if you let it kind of create what it wants to, as opposed to trying to force it to do something. I think that that actually is, in my use of it, I just saw actually before I came on, I had an email that they have a new version of Suno out, and I'm curious to try it out. Yeah, way back here. Yeah? My favorite Swedish band, Stone Mountain. That's a trick question. My favorite Swedish band is ABBA. That's actually my favorite Swedish band. I interviewed Bjorn last time that I was here, which was amazing. He actually talked to me about AI in that interview, and I started making videos after that. He told me it's scary how good it is, and you'll be blown away. And that's literally when I started making videos after I came back from here the last time. And really interesting. I was kind of concerned that he was scared about it. He wasn't scared, he was excited. And I was like, is it that good? Yes. AI can create so quick. How do you, what was that? How do you? That's a great question. The whole issue with copyright and AI, you know, it's interesting. I asked the CEO of Suno, who owns these things when you do them? You know, who owns the copyright on them? There's a law, the only law they have in the United States about copyright is that you can't have a copyright on something that's 100% generative. Like this is 100% generative, meaning it's all created by the computer. There's no parts outside of the ones that the computer created, you know, with the prompt that we did. So that, I couldn't put that on Spotify and make money from that, in theory. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but it's really, really interesting. And I don't think that there's going to be any laws related to this with AI anytime soon. So I think that people should just be careful using stuff that you get if you use any of these programs. You know, document it, keep the original versions. If you have your own song that you put in there and you prompt, if you load your own music in there, it's basically using yours to train on. Okay, so part of the terms of service with it is when you put your own music in it, because you can do that and you can ask it to create a cover of one of your songs. And once you do that, it basically uses your song to train their program. And it's like, well, how do you, I talked to the head of development there at Suno, and I said, well, how do you know what people like from this? He's like, well, if you give it a thumbs down or a thumbs up, we know that we didn't hit the mark on the thumbs down one. Because when it creates two songs, the one that you choose to listen to the most time, it's gathering data. It's basically like Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. It's gathering data by how much you listen to these things. Yes? If I got to interview any musician that's no longer alive, probably Bach, Mozart, Beethoven. That was pretty easy, actually. See, that's actually one question. when people are like, can you rate your top 5 albums of all time? It's like, come on, don't ask me that. It's way too hard. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Is Universal still coming at you with the copyright claims? And if yes, what do you think needs to happen to change the situation? Is it legislation? Is it policy?
She's asking about Universal coming after me with these copyright claims. So it's interesting. I would go sometimes months without getting anything, and then I got the most I ever got in a day was 60. I got 68 content ID claims in one day, and I got 40 the next day. So over 100 in a 2-day period. And I've hired a lawyer. I said it in my video I made on it. I pay this lawyer every month. It's a lot of money too. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm able to afford to do this, to fight these things, because they're all the use that I have of these things, my use, like if I interview David Gilmour and I play 10 Pink Floyd songs or his songs or whatever, that's fair use, right? He's in the video. He doesn't want the video to get taken down. He doesn't want the claims. He thinks it's ridiculous. All these people think it's ridiculous. But, I interviewed Rick Rubin on here, and I played like 15 songs in the interview to ask him about Beastie Boys. And, I forget who we talked about, but Tom Petty, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and you have to listen to the songs if you're going to ask them about them. So it's really important to do that. And historically on my channel, I never shied away from playing music. And now that I have a lawyer who's actually a big YouTuber, he has a big legal channel. He's the one, he approached me a couple years ago about it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it, but it's actually been really helpful. And after I made that video about it and complained about UMG, the video claims kind of stopped happening again. They actually did. Yeah. So it does work. I mean, it does work to get on there. And it's, I hate wasting a video, but it's important because I think it's important for other YouTubers to know their rights. And they can use music a lot more than they think they can, and they need to fight these claims all the time. And you will win them. If you fight them until the end, you will win every single one. We've won over 4,000 content ID claims, which is insane. Yes? You can't really buy the performance rights. There's no mechanism. You can't, first of all, you just can't do it. You can't buy them. Where do you buy them? Because a lot of times sometimes you get claims from the publishing company. Other times it's like, a lot of people that I interview have already sold their publishing. They've sold or they've gotten, some bands like Metallica, I interviewed Kirk Hammett, now they own all their sound recordings again. Right? So there's so many things. And you'd have to hire 10 people to go out and get the rights to these things. YouTube's already worked these things out. It's already part of YouTube. Right? So that's already done. That's how people play music on platforms. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all these things have been worked out. Yes?
I have a two-part question.
Uh-oh.
What do you think the next technological change will come along to disrupt the music industry after streaming AI?
Okay, what's the second one?
Can I have Keith Garrett's phone number?
Keith does not have a phone, actually. What is the next? I don't know. I try not to predict the future. And we're just kind of at the beginning of the AI thing, so it's hard to say what the next technology is. The one thing I know is that the record labels always miss the boat and do the wrong thing, so that you can count on. So whatever they do, just do the opposite of it and you'll be in good shape. It's funny, people will complain about Spotify, not paying enough. But it's like, well, if you actually invested in Spotify, you look at their stock from 2023, in October when it was $171 a share, and now it's $668 a share. You'd be better off, instead of trying to get your royalties in there, investing your royalties in Spotify stock, and you'd make more money than you would on your royalties. That's kind of messes with your mind. Yeah, way back here. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, just like we saw that from the beginning of your first videos, your video style has always been very polished and good from the beginning. Did you have an interest in video making as well when you started your YouTube channel, or did you just like fun in the past?
That's a good question. You guys hear that? Did I have an intro? Okay, so when I did my first video, that one that I put the thing up there, my sister-in-law, my brother Mike's wife, Jackie, was an anchor on a big news channel for about 40 years. So when I started my channel, I was like, hey, can you show this to Jackie and see how I'm doing? And I filmed about 30 seconds of my first video, and I sent it. And he's like, you gotta look at the camera and talk to the camera. You're looking away, you're looking down. Look at the camera and talk to it like it's a person. Now do that, film it again and send it to me. So I filmed another 30 seconds or so, and he's like, that looks good. And that's really the only instruction I ever had on making videos. I actually, in my first video, my camera looked really good. My wife let me use her camera. And then after using it, probably my first two videos, she's like, you can't use my camera again. I'm like, what? Why not? Because I need it for something. No, she never used it again after that. And then I went back. Then I have a whole period where I'm using my iPhone and it's very low quality until I was able to buy a nice camera and use it. But I always edited my videos. I still do the last pass now, but let's see here. Yes.
I would love to hear if you have an opinion on the relevance of tone wood in electric guitars.
Of tone wood. I'm not one to speak on tone wood. I'm not an expert on that. The wood on guitars makes a huge difference, I think. But I'm not. There's people here that are far better experts at it than I am. I can tell you about drums, though. Yes, right here. When's the Jimmy Page interview? I don't know, but if you hear about it, let me know. Because, there's some people that I would like to interview, Jimmy Page being one of them, Paul McCartney, Ringo, Pete Townsend, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, Stevie Wonder, Herbie Hancock. There's many people that I have not interviewed yet that I would love to interview. It's really difficult because I don't just make interviews, even though my intro is all little clips of these interviews. I'd say out of my 2,000 videos, I probably have 160 interviews. So what is that? What's the percentage? It's not that high of a percentage. It's not even 10% of my videos are interviews. So I still like making other types of content. Some of the things I'm going to be doing more recording content, songwriting stuff, and more production videos I want to do, because these are things that are really interesting to me. I've been getting a lot of new microphones and things like that. And I think that that's something that's not represented enough on YouTube, is more professional recording videos and I'm going to bring in some engineers. Some of the people that I've interviewed, come in and track drums, track guitars, track bass, things like that. People that are the top people that do this stuff, and have them come in and talk about that, because I think it's really important, because there are not the kind of internships that you used to have when I first was coming up in the 1990s recording in studios, where people would go and they'd work as assistants and they work themselves up to assistant engineers, and they work with different producers all the time. And that type of tutelage is incredibly important, and it's been lost because there's very few studios. There's almost no studios. So there's no way for people to learn. And for me, I want to use my platform to help people learn, because ultimately my thing is teaching and music appreciation is basically what, if I were to say what my channel is. And, you know, first person accounts from these well-known musicians, songwriters, performers, things like that, engineers, producers. Yes, over here.
Thank you. I'm a huge fan. I'm a student. I bought your courses. I was wondering about producing. What would it take to produce my album?
What would it take to produce your album? So I have people that reach out to me about producing stuff a lot, and I like the idea of producing, but not the time that it takes. So I did a video where I went up to Nashville, and I know a bunch of session players. I called a friend of mine, Tom Bukovac, who's a great guitar player. I was like, Tom, anybody know Tom Bukovac? You ever seen his videos? So I called Tom, and I'm like, Tom, I'm going to be up there doing a couple videos, and maybe get a few of your buddies, and we'll do a thing where we'll just have you guys sit around different people that play different instruments, and we'll talk. He's like, why don't you just produce a song? And I was like, okay, well, whose song? So you got this guy, Daniel Tashian, who's a great songwriter, producer also. And so he sent me a song. I was like, great. So he put together a band, and we went up there, and I had everybody introduce themselves. And I knew a few of the people, actually. And then they did 3 takes, and it was done. That's Nashville. I mean, they did perfect takes. So it was really like, it's not really producing. You know, it's like, you get like the best session players in Nashville. They play perfect parts perfectly in 1 take. And we only did 3 takes just because I needed to make the video about 10 minutes long, you know? I was like, man, can you guys screw up? Can we at least do a punch-in? And this guitar player, Todd's like, I think my nail hit the string. The acoustic player's like, I think my nail hit the string. No, actually, he's like, I think my nail hit the string on 1 chord. Maybe we can punch that. Oh, okay, great, we'll do that. That's pretty amazing. So I like that. Now, I mean, I'd like it to be something a little bit more than that, but I can't do I really can't do production. Okay, anybody up here that wants to ask a question? Yes.
Yeah, so hi, Rick. I saw your show last time you were in Stockholm. It's great to see you again. But last time you said that you weren't going to do live shows anymore.
I lied. That's a great question. Thank you. I said I wasn't going to do live shows again. It's difficult when you have kids, and you know, it's for my wife to get the kids to school in the morning and everything. So it's tough. It's tough for me to leave town for a couple weeks. My son Dylan now has his license, which makes it a lot easier. So that's one of the things that I didn't, you know, realize was going to happen. Or, I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but he'll drive. They're all at the same school, so he can drive the kids home if we need to, and he can help out and stuff. And what cities? Why did I come here? Like, somebody asked me in Berlin the other night, why did you come to Berlin? It's like, what's wrong with Berlin? Berlin's great. I said that to my agent, Larry. I mean, it sounds like, oh, my agent, Larry. Larry's one of my buddies I've known for 30 years, you know. I was like, Larry, I want to go out and do something. I want to go to Scandinavia in the fall. Can you know, like 5 dates, 6 dates, something like that. He's like, all right, great. Then he calls me. He's like, okay, I got some stuff. And dude, Stockholm again, and Berlin, and Oslo tomorrow, and Helsinki, London, and then we added a Dublin date and stuff. And then I've been doing interviews as I go along, because that's actually part of it. Half of it is to interview people. I interviewed 2 Olas, 2 of my good friends here that are over the last 2 days, that here in Stockholm. And all along the way, I've been interviewing people, and I have interviews planned in every city I do. So that's actually part of it, is that it's come here, have an excuse to do the show, but it's also an excuse to actually come and talk to people. So it serves two purposes. Yes.
How long did it take for you to realize that gap mature was a flaw?
How long did it take for what?
Gap mature to realize it was a flaw.
I don't like to talk about that. Do you guys know about that whole thing? That's not even worth talking about. Yes. What am I looking forward to for when I retire? What's my purpose? Oh my God. Man. My kids were like, "Are you ever going to retire?" Retire from what? I don't know. I don't think about stuff like that. I just do this. It's interesting to me. Making videos is really interesting. It's great to get out and talk to people. That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the reasons I wanted to come out and do these shows. I really love this part of it, is that I think a lot of people think, well, when people see you on YouTube or wherever on the internet, it's easy to think, does this person actually exist? I wanted to show you that I'm not AI, not yet. But it's the only time you really get to talk to people. Because, unless you meet somebody at the store. There's a grocery store, it's about 90 seconds from my house. And I was down there with Dylan, this is last year. It was just like, I live in a suburb of Atlanta, so. All of a sudden I'm checking out and everything. This guy goes, "Rick, we met before, I'm James Hetfield's guitar tech." I'm like, "What?" "We met at Metallica backstage." I was like, "Yeah, man, good to see you," and stuff. And I remembered him. And so we leave the place, talk to him for a few minutes, and my son Dylan's like, "What's James Hetfield's guitar tech doing at our Kroger here?" And I was like, "You gotta live somewhere. He probably lives right near here. This is the grocery store, But a couple more. Let's see here. Yes, up here waving.
Yeah, I was thinking you interviewed Daniel Lanois, which was a great interview, and one of the missing pieces is, of course, Flood. Will there ever be an interview with Flood, as he spoke before, started as an engineer, advanced to producer? That would be really exciting to see.
Flood. He's talking about Flood. Flood's amazing. I would love to interview Flood. I'm trying to do more of the people that are the producers and recording engineers. That's a thing that I have planned for the future, and I'm trying to do more of. I want to catalog these things. So I'm going to play some guitar now. This is going to conclude this section. I played in where was it? One of the shows that I did, I was like, I had my guitar up here and I didn't play it because I forgot. Sometimes I'm talking and stuff and it just goes, like, oh, I forgot to play the guitar, so I'm gonna improvise something. I'm not warmed up or anything, so if I make a mistake or something, you guys don't care. Thank you. Boy, that's stressful. So I'm going to finish up here with a video that my dad shot. My dad was like the original YouTuber. He didn't know it. He bought a video camera when my oldest sister Pat was born, and he filmed a bunch of family videos, including just about everyone on here is no longer with us, except for myself and my brothers. But this is like my homage to the people that are no longer with us. So. Mom. It's my first appearance. There's my mom there, Aunt Mary. My godfather, Uncle Jim. My brothers. Mom's dad, my siblings, my mom and dad. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. I want to do a photo with the crowd here. I always forget to do this. Actually, I'm going to do a little video here. Let's see. I'm going to start like this. Turn it towards me. How do people do this? Okay, let's try this. Okay, so I'm here hanging out in Stockholm. Oh, and there's some other people here. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Take care.